Welcome back to the newsletter of the Lunar Child. My name is Lauren, as always, the astrologer behind everything at the Lunar Child. And today we're going to talk about this full moon because I think there's a message here for each of us as an individual, but also as a collective, right? The change is here. And I'm recording this after November 4th. So we did see women being voted in. We saw minorities winning in New York. Like, this is the moment of change, and the astrology explains it. So we're going to dive into that for an individual and a collective message. I also am going to do a brief overview of Mercury retrograde and what it actually is, not what pop astrology wants to fearmonger it to be. And the next newsletter, so make sure you catch it, we'll be going over Mercury retrograde for all the rising signs. Okay. Now, before we get into all of that juicy information, I do want to let you know my At Your Own Pace astrology course is now live. It's official. I've taught this course to over 22 students, okay? I've refined it every time. I've edited it every time. And I have curated this course to be deep, but also digestible, okay? So I've taken so many astrology courses and I figured out the best format and also the best structure to make sure that you actually embody the information. You don't just intellectualize the astrology. So there are payment plans available if you need it. I know times are hard, truly. So just email me if you need that link and let me know what you think of the course. I'm so excited to get it into your guys' hands. This is literally my baby that I feel like I just birthed on this full moon in Taurus. And it's ironic it's in Taurus because one, the moon loves to be in Taurus and I'm a Cancer moon. So it's like, but also because when you learn astrology, you get regrounded into you. And Taurus rules over feeling grounded and safe. When you learn astrology, you understand your values and where your soul wants to function from. And that is also what Taurus represents, your values, your worth down here. And this is part of the message that I really want to hone in on for all of us as individuals before we get into the collective. You are inherently worthy, okay? You are. There could be voices inside of you that want to keep you safe and saying that you're not, saying that you have to prove it, saying, yeah, right, this girl's crazy. Like, I have all these insecurities and I have all these shadow parts and I'm nowhere near who I want to be. But these are just parts of yourself that were created to protect you. Now, they might be hurting you, of course, because they don't understand that they don't need to be in protective mode. So I really, really want you to think, where in my life do I feel like I have to overwork to prove my worth? Check your birth chart. Where's Taurus? Maybe you are overworking. Maybe you're not working at all and you're being, everything will work out. And that also is some shadow of Taurus, right? Because the basis of Taurus, the archetype of Taurus, is working hard while also resting and enjoying. It's not working hard to prove your worth. It's not working hard because working hard equals more money. No. It's taking aligned actions from your values and knowing if you are taking every action from your value, from your worth, from your grounded worth, whatever you're calling in will come to you. Money is just a resource. It will come back to you because you are truly aligned, right? We say aligned. What does that mean? It means you're walking the path that your soul desires. But what has happened is the narrative of society has been hijacked, basically. And the narrative has been work harder for money. If you work harder, success will come. And I'm not saying that people who are successful don't work hard. That's absolutely true. But there has to be a balance within this because we co-create with the universe. We don't just force life to happen. Taurus is ruled by the bull, right? When it's in shadow, it puts its head down and it will ram through things. But in the end, that can destroy things. It can destroy our physical body. It can destroy our regulation, our nervous system. What we need is to be in the passenger seat sometimes and allow the universe to work its magic after we worked hard. It's a give and take. And when you are in the passenger seat, I want you to enjoy that motherfucking ride. Right? I want you to see the world, the 3D that Taurus also rules over. Taurus rules over Mother Earth. Nature is beautiful because nature is the ultimate guide of how we should be living. There's cycles. Spring, we bloom. Summer, we're active. Fall, we start to slow down. And winter, we die parts of ourselves, right? It's cyclical. And that's exactly how I shouldn't say should, but that's exactly how our bodies want to live life. Again, Taurus. What is going to sustain your physical body to be able to enjoy life? And if it's working so hard that you're constantly drained, you're constantly depressed, are you really living? Now, you might be listening to this and being like, well, I have to put food on my table. Absolutely. Right? And what's happened with the systems, this is where it gets collective because it's not just individual mindset. Individual mindset is so important to realize that there is a balance that we need to enjoy and we need to rest and we need to work and yada, yada, yada. And we need to realize that abundance is everywhere. It's literally everywhere. Look at nature. It will grow and grow and grow and grow, and everything comes from nature, right? But we also have a collective that we're working towards. And I've talked a lot about this on my YouTube, the collective consciousness. And basically, the collective is created, what's going on in the world is created by all of us individually, right? And there are victims to the collective. There are people who have been put down, who've been marginalized intentionally. So a select few can stay in power and can hoard all the resources of Earth. And if they hoard the resources, they take the resources, they get to stay in power, and we all have to bend the knee to them. And this is what this full moon is saying, no more. With all the planets in the sky, not just this full moon, but you want to look at what is going on in the sky on the full moon, and that tells you what this full moon really carries. Basically, what the planets are saying is we are done living in a world for a select few. We are ready to dismantle the systems. We are ready to rebuild the systems in a way that it supports everyone, that everyone is valued and everyone is taken care of. We are ready to change these belief systems that have been holding us chain of I can't leave my job out of fear. I can't leave my job because I need money. I can't leave my job X, Y, and Z. They've designed a system that is so systemic that we feel paralyzed and stuck in these jobs. And on some way we are, because we do need to feed our family and we need to feed ourselves and we need to be able to get to a point that we can regulate our nervous system. But what if we all stopped for a second? What if the entire world, which by the way, the blackout is coming November 25th to December 2nd. What if the entire world just stopped like it was in COVID, that so many people actually enjoyed the first week of and realized what are my values and how can I actually start making aligned decisions from that? The world would shift, the world would change. But fear holds us back. It's belief systems that hold us back, belief systems that we've been told our whole life. So I'm not saying run out and quit your job. But I am saying, what are small baby steps that you can make right now in your life to start aligning yourself to what your soul truly wants to do, what lights you up, what gives you passion? And if you continue to make those small baby steps every single day, it would lead you to a bigger step that would support you because that's the laws of the universe. That is what magnetism is. That is technically what manifestation is. When you start making decisions based off your intuition, you magnetize to you. And it's just really over the last few days have made me think about generationally how much we have been programmed. And it starts, you can see just like our parents, right? The boomers, they have been fed the American dream. The American dream is you work hard, you make money, you buy a house, you have children, and you have a big goose egg retirement at the end of your life. That is a lie. The millennials is the first generation where that is literally almost impossible to feel like that can be a reality because housing prices are way too high. Income has not met that. And we all have debt up to our fucking ears. Right? So we as millennials, when we graduated college, we knew that that isn't a dream. It's a lie. But the system hadn't reflected that fully yet. Our parents didn't fully understand that. But then year after year after year, things have just gotten worse and worse and worse. But we have been little ants feeding the rich. We've been little ants helping them hoard more and more and more. And the more that they've hoarded resources, which is literally what Taurus represents, the more that we are at their mercy. That's intentional, right? And right now, with where the planets are, the illusion has completely been cleared. Specifically by what the government is doing by taking literal basic needs away from 42 million people in this country. food. And why are 42 million people on food stamps? Because again, our income, they don't give us enough to survive because the select few are hoarding. Even the people who make millions, their bread comes from those people to stay in line. There's only a select few people that run the world. Follow the money. They all own every corporation. It's like how all the big news outlets are actually owned by the same person that have opposing narratives, because when we are divided, we are weaker. And this all goes to the full moon energy. We're done. We're done being divided. We're realizing we actually all want the same fucking thing: safety, stability, Taurus. We want to live life. We want to enjoy life. We don't want to be in fear every single day. We don't want to be paycheck to paycheck like 80% of Americans are. We want to be able to tell our kids that you do have a meal the next day. You can have a gift on your birthday and Christmas. But I know parents that couldn't even get a Halloween costume for their child because they're furloughed right now because of government shutdown. And why is the government shut down? To protect the rich. It all goes back to the rich hoarding resources. Again, the shadow of Taurus. Harvesting those resources. And then all of us having to stay in line. And we're done. With Mars opposing Uranus, it's like burn the shit down. With the economy, get ready. Uranus is moving back into Taurus. Uranus is the planet of disruption, okay, on November 7th. Disruption, chaos, awakening. That planet is moving back into Taurus. Again, the sign of safety, stability, economy, money, right? On November 7th, for its final time of that transit of 8 years, okay? So it takes another 84 years till it's going to get there again. So for many of us, the final time in our life, it's going to shake shit up. We're already seeing that with families not being able to eat. That's shaking shit up. But it's going to shake things up beyond that you can imagine, I believe. But I also think it's needed. Right? It's needed for us to awaken. Now, I personally believe they want us to revolt, because anytime they take food away, people start to revolt. Basic needs. Why would they want us to revolt? Well, they want us to revolt because then they can control us further, right? So there's a way that we need to actually show up for one another and not give in to their fear tactics. But again, I don't know. Something, I know that's like so vague, but like something is coming economically, financially. We're all feeling it. And I think that's also what's looping in with this full moon is like, we're feeling scarce. The walls are closing in. That is literally what is happening. But the more we can align with the baby steps, the more we can have a spiritual practice, the more we can have community to rely on one another and lean on one another and see that all of us are going through this, we can then start working with one another and realizing we could build a new paradigm without them. And if we build something without them, they don't have power anymore. That's really what I've been thinking about on this full moon. So on an individual level, realizing how can I regulate my nervous system, even if you're in fight or flight and you don't know where your next meal is coming from, trying to just go outside and take the deep breath and find a little bit of groundedness within your day, right? Or maybe you have the privilege to have resources right now. What can you do to help other people have the privilege? I don't even want to say privilege. What can you do to help other people feel grounded? So whether that's skipping your coffee for one day and donating that $5 to a food bank or something, right? Or rewiring your mind and your mindset to realize, where am I actually just replenishing the system and self-abandoning? And where can I actually align with my values? So that's what I want you to think about on this full moon in Taurus. And I also want you to think about, where do I feel like I have to prove my worth? And is that why I'm staying where I'm staying? Because I don't feel worthy enough to actually create the life that I want to live. Okay. Then Uranus will move into Taurus and it's going to disrupt things. And I also think it's going to be the awakening we all need. Okay. Venus, the planet of money and self-worth and all of that, will be going into Scorpio tomorrow, and it doesn't love to be here. So again, financial things. Scorpio rules investments and debts, which is interesting because a lot of people can't pay their loans and debts right now because of the government shutdown. That is why the Federal Reserve has loaned the banks $50 billion. Yeah. again, the bubble, it looks like it's going to be popping soon. But anyways, I digress. Venus going to Scorpio is asking you to really look at your shadow with money, but also look at your shadow with your own vulnerability, right? Taurus is like, I have to protect myself. But Scorpio is like, but what happens if you just trusted and you merged not just with others, but with your shadow part? Right? What if you befriended these parts of yourself that are just constantly trying to keep you safe, keep you small, keep you stuck? What would happen in your life? You would transform. But again, to transform, you have to feel safe, which is why that's the Taurus Scorpio axis. So this is what you learn in my astrology program, right? Astrology is a language of healing. It's a language to remind yourself what your soul desires. So again, we go deep. This isn't surface level astrology. So I want you to think about that. Okay, so now let's get into Mercury retrograde. First off, let's talk about what a retrograde is. A retrograde is when there is a perceived perspective that the planet is moving backwards, but it's actually not, okay? I want you to think about typically the planet is just functioning and the energy is coming down and it's being externalized out. Mercury is the planet of communication, right? So we're communicating, we're learning, perfect. It's that funnel. But when it's retrograding, all of a sudden that energy is internalized. It can make us feel like we have more intense thoughts, or it can make us feel like we can't communicate because it's all like, how do I say this? And there's disruption and yada, yada, yada. Mercury's also technology and transportation, which is why oftentimes technology and transportation issues happen with Mercury retrograde. This is also why exes come back, right? And things like that, because people start to revise and re-edit. Oh, I do need to have that conversation. Oh, I never did have that conversation. Oh, maybe I do miss this person. And they start revising, reflecting on their mind, on the thoughts, and they reach out impulsively. Okay. Now, when these things arise, when your ex texts you, when your car breaks down, when you have a miscommunication, or maybe someone doesn't email you back because their email got lost, I just want you to sit with that and say, what was the message here? What am I editing around this situation? If your car breaks down on the side of the road, why did you have to sit in your car for 2 hours and wait for the tow truck? Were you too go, 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 go? Right? Say your ex texted you. Is there something you need to tell that ex to get it off your chest to have that closure? Or is the closure of you actually not responding and holding that boundary? No one can tell you besides you. So ask yourself, ask your intuition. But I want you to think about that on this Mercury retrograde, right? When things naturally come up that feel a little bit frustrating, why? What's the message? Maybe it's just to slow down. Because literally, I believe Mercury retrogrades happen because it's like this cosmic pause. It happens 3 times a year. We're used to this energy, but it's truly this pause and saying, okay, let me revise and reflect on my life a little bit. What's going well? What's not going well? What do I need to reschedule? What don't I need to reschedule? What conversations do I need to have? And you can just revise and reflect. And then when it's direct again, you can start making those changes. Then you want to figure out what sign is this happening in. It's in Sagittarius. Doesn't love to be in Sagittarius, okay? Because it likes to be in Gemini. It likes to be in linear fashion. Sagittarius is not linear. It's big picture. It also rules over your belief systems. And your beliefs create your reality. So during this Mercury retrograde, when it first starts, it's going to be in Sagittarius. I want you to revise and reflect on your beliefs. Okay? What are you functioning from that's outdated? What are you functioning from? Because Mercury hits up Mars, okay? That creates irritation, that creates impulsivity, that makes you feel like, I gotta go, but you really don't. Okay? So think about those belief systems. Think about your spirituality. Maybe there's toxic beliefs within it. Maybe the dogma you followed your whole life has actually been really restrictive and you need to let some of that go. Think about that. Then it's going to get into Scorpio. What do you need to revise and re-edit around your deep psyche, around vulnerability? Maybe there's a conversation that you really need to just be honest and share. Maybe someone hurt you and you want to share that. Maybe you love someone and you want to share that. Scorpio rules over vulnerability. It rules over intimacy. It rules over understanding the beauty of seeing someone, not just for their light, but also for their dark. So when Mercury goes back into Scorpio, we could be filtering out some traumas, some communication, things like that. And be gentle with yourself and allow all of it to come up so that when it's direct again, you have clarity on what to do to move forward. During the 3 weeks that Mercury is retrograding, you don't need to act on anything. Again, it's just a time to reflect. When it's direct, that's when we kind of start implementing the things over as it moves out of the post shadow. Now, along this Mercury retrograde, we'll get into it again next week. There are some significant points. And so when it goes direct again, it's with Venus. It's actually really positive. So I'll leave that there as a teaser for next time. All I want you to do from now until my next week's newsletter is just notice anything that's frustrating your life, anything that's keeping you blocked, write it down because that's a lesson for this Mercury retrograde that we're going to come back to. Okay. It's funny. My Mercury is natally Mercury retrograde. So for me, even though Mercury retrogrades can be so frustrating, I'm used to that energy. I spill shit on myself all the time. I'm always having communication slip ups of, oh, I missed that email or I forgot to respond here. You know, that's just my life. So what I find with my Mercury retrograde is I actually have some really amazing insights that come to me. Like my clarity is next level when Mercury is retrograding. So I'm actually really, really excited on this. Because it's very karmic for me. And again, if you are feeling pulled to astrology, my course, you will also have access to me once a month at study tables. So I call them like office hours now. Once a month, you can come if you buy this course and we'll talk about content. If you have questions about your birth chart, anything like that, we'll dive deep into it. So that's why I love this course because you will learn about you everything you need to know because everyone has all 12 signs. Everyone has all the planets. Everyone has all the houses. We go deep within that. And then we go, how do you decipher your own karma? So if you want to understand your birth chart, your karmic cycles, your life purpose, all of that, that's what we go in my course. And you dive so deep. It's not just a birth chart reading where you get like an overview, right? No, you will go layer and layer into your soul's journey. So that's what I love about my courses is you're always learning from yourself. And it's two parts, right? So you get the fundamentals, you can take a break and you can come back for the advanced when you're ready. And you also have access to me. So we do full monthly study sessions. So you can come with any question around your chart, friends' charts, anything astrology related, if it's around the course topic. And you can meet with me and ask me. And I will have open hours until all the questions are finished. So that's also a perk. Once you buy the course, you have full access to the study tables, and I'll always email you a link. Alrighty. Well, as always, thank you for sitting here. This is a big week for me. My daughter turns 1 tomorrow. And so next week, I'm also going to just like share a little bit of my year and hardest year of my life, most rewarding year of my life. And the fact that I was able to even show up and keep this business running on no sleep has been the biggest win for me because I realized I can do fucking anything now. So come back next week. I think it's going to be juicy and let me know how you're feeling with this full moon and have a great day.